smarter, and stronger every time. That's how you outlast the noise and outgrow the limits. In the end, it's not about how emotional you are, it's about how effective you are. You can feel deeply and still move wisely. You can be passionate and still be calculated. Playing to win means aligning your emotion with your execution. It means having the courage to think before you leap, to plan before you speak, and to act with clarity even in chaos. The most powerful moves you'll ever make will be the ones you made when you refused to be shaken. When you chose strategy over drama, focus over frenzy. That's how you win. Not by chance, not by noise, but by precision, discipline, and vision. That's how you stop performing for the world and start building something that can't be ignored. In moments of emotional intensity, it's easy to forget that not every feeling requires an immediate reaction. Life will test your patience, your pride, and your peace, but how you respond defines your direction. Emotional reactions might feel powerful in the moment, but they rarely lead to thoughtful outcomes. When you detach, even briefly, you create space between what happened and what you choose to do about it. That space is where maturity lives. It's where clarity forms. It's not about being cold. It's about being conscious. Anyone can react, but it takes strength to pause. Pausing doesn't mean weakness. It means control. It's the difference between chaos and clarity. In the heat of emotion, we tend to magnify moments that in hindsight weren't worth our energy. That's why detachment is such a powerful skill. It allows you to zoom out and see the full picture. Not everything that bothers you deserves a response. Not every insult is an invitation to engage. Silence, when chosen wisely, speaks volumes. It shows that your focus is on the bigger picture, not temporary noise. People who master detachment don't suppress their emotions, they observe them. They learn to ask, is this worth my energy? Before acting. That question alone can save relationships, careers, and personal peace. Detachment helps you protect your priorities. When your emotions are in control, you may win an argument but lose a connection. You may satisfy your ego but sabotage your growth. That's the cost of reacting without thinking. Emotional decisions often feel right in the moment, but they carry long-term consequences. Strategic detachment lets you assess whether what you're feeling is rooted in truth or just a passing wave. The goal isn't to avoid emotion, it's to understand it. Once you understand it, you don't let it drive the car. You sit with it, process it, then act based on wisdom, not impulse. This is how strong leaders, thinkers, and creators navigate complexity. They move from purpose, not pressure. Detachment doesn't mean you stop caring. It means you care enough to protect your peace. It means choosing not to let the emotional chaos of others infect your own clarity. Some people will try to pull you into their storms, but it's your choice whether you step into that weather. You can feel everything and still choose calm. You can care deeply without losing your sense of direction. Emotional intelligence is not about being emotionless. It's about knowing when to step back, breathe, and think. When you're emotionally charged, your vision narrows. But when you detach, even slightly, your vision widens. You begin to see what really matters. The truth is, people who don't know how to detach end up being controlled by every emotional wave that hits them. They lose time, energy, and focus, reacting to things that don't serve them. That's why detachment is a skill worth mastering. It's not a defense mechanism, it's a strategy. It helps you keep your goals in sight, even when the world tries to distract or disturb you. Being calm in chaos doesn't mean you're unaffected, it means you're grounded. You know that reacting wildly won't help. Responding wisely will. This emotional discipline allows you to think clearly, act deliberately, and lead yourself with integrity. There will be moments when your pride is challenged, your emotions are provoked, and your instincts scream for a reaction. That's when detachment becomes your power. Instead of feeding the drama, you observe it. Instead of reacting to pain, you process it. This doesn't make you passive, it makes you powerful, because the person who cannot be provoked controls the outcome. Emotional discipline gives you leverage, not just in conversations but in life. It allows you to keep your energy aligned with your mission, not with distractions. The more you practice this, the less reactive you become. And the less reactive you become, the more in control you are of your journey. Strategic detachment also helps you protect your time. When you're not constantly caught in emotional whirlwinds, you gain clarity about where to invest your focus. Not every situation deserves your full attention. Not every conflict needs your participation. When you master the art of stepping back, you learn how to conserve your energy for the things that matter. That's when you stop just surviving and start building. Time and energy are your most valuable resources, and detachment guards both. It creates a buffer between you and unnecessary chaos. And in that space, you become more intentional, more focused, and more resilient. People will try to misunderstand you, challenge your calm, and test your boundaries. But you don't have to meet them at their level. Detachment is what allows you to rise above the noise and respond from wisdom instead of emotion. It's not about being superior, it's about being self-aware. When you stop taking everything personally, you regain your power. Not everything is about you. Not everything deserves your explanation. Emotional maturity is knowing when to speak and when to let silence do the talking. That kind of control doesn't happen overnight. It's built through consistent awareness and practice. One of the most important parts of detachment is trusting yourself. Trusting that you don't need to react to prove a point. Trusting that your worth isn't tied to how quickly you defend yourself. Trusting that your peace is more valuable than momentary validation. When you trust yourself deeply, you no longer feel the need to explain everything. You simply act with intention, grounded in your values. And when others try to pull you out of that, you stay centered. That's what emotional strength looks like. Not reacting to everything, but responding to what truly matters. Trust creates space, and in that space, wisdom grows. In a world that often glorifies instant reaction, detachment feels radical. But it's not detachment from people. It's detachment from chaos, ego, and emotional impulsivity. It's choosing long-term peace over short-term satisfaction. It's leading yourself fast so you can lead others well. It's understanding that clarity comes not when we fight every battle, but when we choose which ones are worth our time. Emotional discipline isn't about denying how you feel. It's about directing how you respond. That direction is what turns potential into power. And in that calm, steady space between emotion and strategy, you find your greatest strength. Every emotion you feel is valid, but not every emotion deserves a seat at the table when you're making decisions. There's a difference between acknowledging your feelings and letting them lead your life. Emotions are like weather. They shift, they pass, and they don't define the landscape beneath them. If you make choices based on how you feel in the moment, you risk building a future on unstable ground. Strength isn't found in denying emotion. It's found in directing it. Emotional maturity is knowing that feelings are real, but they aren't facts. You can feel hurt and still move forward. You can feel fear and still act. Emotions inform you, but they don't have to control you. Too often, people act out of anger, sadness, frustration, or insecurity and end up creating more problems than they started with. Emotional decisions feel satisfying for a moment, but leave you cleaning up the consequences for years. That's why emotional control isn't weakness, it's wisdom. It's the ability to pause, to breathe, and to ask, is this the direction I want my life to go? In high-stakes situations, the calmest voice always has the most power. You don't win by being louder, you win by being clearer. That clarity only comes when emotions are tempered by perspective. A calm mind makes better moves, and better moves create better outcomes. You can respect your emotions without being ruled by them. Anger doesn't have to become action. Sadness doesn't have to become stagnation. Fear doesn't have to become avoidance. Emotional control is like a muscle. It grows stronger the more you practice. You start by noticing your emotional patterns, when they rise, how they influence you, and what triggers them. Then you learn to respond differently, not perfectly, but consciously. It's not about suppressing your feelings. It's about separating your reaction from your response. Reactions are instant and often regretful. Responses are thoughtful and intentional. When you make that shift, your entire life changes. Real growth begins when you learn to sit with an emotion without letting it dictate your next step. You stop chasing validation. You stop fighting every criticism. You stop needing to win every argument. That's when you realize emotional control isn't about being robotic, it's about being resilient. It's the difference between exploding and expressing, between suppressing and channeling. You become more aware of your own power. You see that not everything deserves your reaction. Some things are better left unbothered. And in that space of stillness, you find clarity, confidence, and calm. That's where transformation begins. Not in chaos, but in control. Life will constantly throw emotional triggers your way. You will face disappointment, betrayal, loss, and pressure. But how you process those moments is what separates the reactive from the resilient. Emotional control means feeling fully but responding wisely. It means showing up with intention, not tension. When you develop this strength, people feel it. Your presence becomes grounded, not shaken. Your words become measured, not scattered. Your actions become impactful, not impulsive. That's real power. It's not loud or flashy, but it's unshakable. And it earns respect not just from others, but from yourself. There's a time to cry, a time to feel, and a time to breathe through it all. But there's also a time to rise. Emotional control helps you rise without denying what you feel. It teaches you that you can walk through the storm without becoming the storm. You don't have to react to every offense or fall apart at every challenge. You're allowed to feel broken and still move with intention. That's what strength looks like. It's not the absence of emotion, it's the mastery of it. And the more you practice that mastery, the more your life begins to align with your vision instead of your moods. Controlled emotion is not coldness. It's clarity in chaos. It's the steady hand that writes your future while the world tries to shake your pen. You might be passionate, empathetic, even sensitive, but that doesn't mean you're weak. It means you feel deeply, but you choose not to be consumed. That choice is where your power lives. Not in perfection, but in presence. In learning to pause before you post, breathe before you speak, and think before you act. Each time you do that, you take your power back. You prove that you are not your mood, you are your mindset. And that makes all the difference. In a world driven by impulse, emotional control makes you stand out. It's what separates the professionals from the panicked, the visionaries from the victims. You become known not just for what you do, but how you carry yourself. You walk into rooms differently. People listen when you speak. Not because you demand it, but because your energy commands it. That's the kind of control that can't be faked. It's earned in the moments when you wanted to react, but chose to rise. In the moments when you wanted to explode, but chose to evolve. And those are the moments that shape leaders, creators, and champions. The more you master your emotions, the less you fear challenges. You stop running from discomfort and start using it. You understand that setbacks aren't signals to stop. They're opportunities to reset. When your emotions are managed, your decisions improve. Your relationships strengthen. Your vision sharpens. You begin to move with a level of grace and precision that only comes from within. Emotional control is a gift you give yourself. It's the foundation of peace, the root of patience, and the armor of purpose. It doesn't mean you never feel chaos, but it means chaos won't feel like the end. You'll always know your way back to calm. The greatest version of you doesn't live in fear, anger, or emotional chaos. It lives in the stillness you create when you learn to hold your emotion and choose your action. That version of you builds, grows, and impacts others, not from reaction, but from reflection. It doesn't let emotions run wild. It lets them speak, and then decides what to do next. This version of you isn't unfeeling. It's unstoppable. Because when your heart and your head move together, you make decisions rooted in both truth and wisdom. That's what leads to lasting transformation. Not quick reactions, but conscious choices. Not chaos, but clarity. Not noise, but power.